go to Ephesians 6. Let me have a reader at Ephesians 6:11, please.
Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
Hear the word of the Lord. The Bible declares unto us that we wrestle not against flesh and blood. We think it's flesh and blood. This is not flesh and blood. This is spiritual wickedness. Spiritual wickedness in high places. The Bible is trying to help us understand that the rulers of darkness of this world, they are the wolves that Jesus is talking about. Against spiritual wickedness in high places is what we are addressing, what we are going against. He's saying, I'm sending you to live amongst these people, to thrive amongst these kinds of people. But why would the Lord do that? In order for the truth to be known, we have to be in the heat of the battle. In order for the truth to be known, we have to be in a place to correct that which is wrong. So the Lord put his children in their vineyard in the heat of the battle. Because how better for there to be a light shine on wrong behavior? Think about the knowledge and the wisdom and the ethics and the values that you live by, and you representing that in the midst of wolves, people who have contrary ethics and values. You standing up for that which is fair. But recognizing, although you're standing up, it's not your battle, it's whose? It's the Lord's battle. The Lord is the one that's fighting. But what the Bible is speaking about clearly is that we have to prepare ourselves. We're not talking about the armor, the Word of God, and the things that we do to prepare ourselves. We're not talking about that. That's to prepare ourselves to live and to thrive in that vineyard, to deal with these situations. That's why we put that armor on. But what I want to draw your attention to today is the fact that it is against spiritual wickedness in high places. So what is spiritual wickedness in high places? We talked about wolves in sheep's clothing. And what was the goal for the wolf to hide as a sheep? What was the goal? The ultimate purpose was to destroy, to obtain what they wanted at all costs. And so in that story, the wolf, who was a predator, had what idea to try to get to the prey?
Trick them.
To trick them. So what did the wolf think would work in that story to get to the prey? Who was the prey? Who was the prey? Who were they trying to destroy? Who was the wolf trying to destroy? The girl. So the wolf, the prey, remember what we said wolves do? What did we say? We said they persistent. They are people who use persistent eradication efforts. So what was the eradication efforts the wolf was using? He tried to pretend to be her grandmother, even dressed up. That was the method with the intention of trapping, hunting and trapping. Now, I'm using that as an example, but I'm going to fast forward to today. Have you heard of this group called the KKK? This group called the KKK put on a costume like the wolf by night. They put on a costume with the intention of doing the same thing. Did they not have a reputation for persistent eradication efforts by hunting and trapping and killing people who they believe that were inferior to them, people that they believe that they wanted to keep their foot on their necks, people that they did not think that they were more than them. And if you were on the wrong side, you were the recipient of this thing. When you saw them, was there the intention of those hoods to automatically have a response in people's minds? Or did they do it just because they like Halloween? The truth will make you free. So they wanted an automatic response. An automatic response from who? The people who knew who they were? The people who didn't know who they were. Were they targeting a particular group of people? Was it people that looked like them? No. This was a deliberate suggestion for a targeted group of people that they wanted to try their foot on those people's neck. So they thought this was a fear tactic that they would use, and they wanted not only the adults, but the young adults, the youth, and the children to all have the same reaction. And what was that? To be afraid. To be afraid. Why was this important? It's because the intent was for that to be the automatic response of those people. So if any time you saw them, those people saw them, they were to now, they couldn't be feeling good about themselves. They couldn't be feeling good about their life. They had to be fearful. But if you were like those people, if you were white and you were like those people, these were people that you knew who were behaving this way, you were expected to do what? Were you expected to be fearful? No, you weren't. It was expected that you would recognize that this was an erasure that was being used. Well, why didn't they do it by day? Why did they just wear these things? Why didn't they just openly just wear them and take them off as their leisure, wherever they throughout their day? The reason being is because they wanted those same people that they were fearful of, they wanted those people money. They wanted what those people had. They just didn't want to respect them. They wanted them to come to their stores and use their money to buy stuff. They just didn't want to respect them. These same people would go to church and profess those two commandments, supporting those two commandments. You cannot, as an individual, you cannot be supportive of those two commandments if you think and live this way, if you have these ethics, values, and characters. So what you are seeing is truth emerging to show you spiritual wickedness in places of influence. That could be that was in a local store in a community. It was also in people who were in the police force. It was also people who were in city positions or state positions who were advocating these things. I remember in Alabama, Mississippi, all of these different situations that happen. And what I'm trying to get you to see and understand, that spiritual wickedness came from predators, these wolves, thriving among the general population. So what we have to understand is that the Lord intended for us to be able to thrive. He did not intend for this situation, for these people to have their way. So the modern day, what's the modern day KKK? Same thing. They still cover up. They just don't have the robes on. You saw people who don't value those two commandments. You saw a person who was in the White House. And all the people that person brought into those federal, state, and local government jobs, all the people that person brought in, all those people, instead of doing something to help those two commandments, to fulfill those two commandments, see, fulfilling the commandments and using the job you have to help people can work together. But what they did, they got the job and they didn't fulfill that commandment. Yet those people, probably people who go and sit in the church. Well, he had the Bible upside down. That's true. He didn't have the Bible upside down. That was his own doing. Well, again, that's the truth being shown. The truth is what makes you free. The Lord opens your eyes to see truth so that you can no longer be bound. You can see the true intentions. You can see the wolves being uncovered. When people say, when they actively want to do everything they can to help rich people, but you got people who are suffering. In the country, a diverse country, and you got a diverse country where people have needs. In the richest country, one of the richest countries in the world, where things that we could do, if we really were serious about those two commandments. But the fact that we have so many people suffering is an indication that we don't have people who care about those two commandments. It doesn't matter what tradition that they may be following. If you're not honoring those two commandments, those that we talked about, what Jesus said, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, all thy mind, all thy soul. Love thy neighbor as thyself. If you're not doing those things, if the way you live, if the way you speak is not indicating, and what your actions doesn't suggest that you are doing that, it doesn't matter all the other specifics. If there is no fruit to indicate that you're doing that, if you are biased toward one group of people and you don't do anything to help other people, then you could not be obedient to. That's the Lord's way of making you an open shame, showing you that you are a wolf in sheep's clothing. You get in the position to make it appear that you're going to do something to help people, and you don't. Many CEOs of many companies, not all, but many of them, the same face. When the opportunity to be able to fulfill those two and to help people come, and you choose not to do so, you are behaving as a predator. You're behaving as a wolf. Spiritual wickedness in high places. And how do we know? You can see the fruit. Many of the people that he brought in, those people were caught in criminal acts, were they not? So the fruit of their labor shows you what their intentions are. Go to St. Matthew 7. Does the Bible continue to edify you? St. Matthew 7. Let me have a reader. St. Matthew 7, verse 14, please.
It's called straight is the gate, and narrow is the way, which leads unto life, and few there be that find it. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves.
Listen to what the word says. Listen to what the word says. To beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing. They come to you looking like you. They come to you looking like somebody who is genuine, who is someone who is interested in obeying those two commandments. But the Bible says inside they are ravenous wolves. In other words, their goals and intentions are to destroy you. Their goals and intentions are to stab you in the back. Predators. These are the same people that we are seeing in our government. They get hired in this position, they get elected, and on the surface, They may say many things, but the fruit of what they produce is in what they actually do and who they do it for. Now, this is not just about politics. I don't want to make it seem that way, but I want you to understand this is happening in every aspect of the community. You have these wolves, spiritual wickedness happening in the school system. You have spiritual wickedness happening in the workplace. You have spiritual wickedness happening in our federal government, in our state government, in our local government. We just have to understand they appear to look like on the surface, everybody looks the same. That's what Jesus is talking about. They appear to look the same. It's when you continue to look and God opens your eyes to see the truth. Just like this week, you said that someone saw the truth and they said, hey, the Negro League, they should have been professionals just like the MLB, the major baseball league. But look at the stumbling block that's been placed before those athletes and their lineage and everybody who looks up to them, all the young kids who look up to them. Just think of how much higher they could have flown. Just think of how much more they could have achieved if this had been done during that day. Just think of where the number of athletes and number of successes in baseball by African Americans we will be talking about if this realization had happened back then. Wolves. It happened because of spiritual wickedness. Wolves in sheep's clothing, dressing up as sheep, appearing to be gentle and innocent, pretending to be good, and they are inwardly bad. Their intentions are bad. They're acting righteous, and they're wicked. Inside, they are ravenous wolves. By their contrived doctrine, it's about them. It's self-focused. They're interested in themselves. You will know or you will attain knowledge about them, and the knowledge that you obtain about them is going to make you free. How is it making you free? You no longer are bound by what they were hiding, they insinuated that they were. You see them for who they really are. You no longer can be bound anymore in that regard to be bound, unless you choose to be bound. See, in the past, they dressed up wearing sheep, as I mentioned earlier, to hide themselves. Today, because of greed to get money, they don't wear sheep. They look the part on the outside, but inside they're wicked, violating the second and greatest commandment, love thy neighbor as thyself. They're not treating people as they want to be treated. No, they're not doing that. Violating the commandment. And even violating the first one. Their fruit is seen through the policy they make that hurts most people. So let's talk about it. We're talking about there have been many attempts during this year and in other years, even in the Obama years, to be able to help people, to provide money to help the diversity of people in this country. And in all cases, there were always attempts by certain groups of people not to do anything for the masses of the people. Yet, doing something for those who were the head of these companies and these major businesses, under the assumption that they were going to do something for their people, knowing that they could not tell those businesses what to do and who to help in their company. And knowing that by not putting any restrictions on those on how they use the money, that gave them the license to be able to use the money however they wanted to, which was not for their people, not for the masses of their people, but for certain groups of people within the company. What I'm trying to get you to see and understand is that these actions always are following people who are not interested in truly helping everybody.
Oh, praise be to God, from whom all blessings flow. It is our prayer at Clay Family Ministries that your life has been increased with the increase of God through this study. We appreciate and are thankful for your fellowship during this life skills study segment.